Okay, so continuing from the last module, we talked about attention in space and why it's so bad. So divided attention, focused attention, we pretty much do everything as divided attention, so that makes us pretty poor. Let's talk about what happens when you are looking at attention across time. So when new information arrives at you quickly, spending a lot of time processing causes you to miss some of the new information that comes after that. So first information, processing, missing that second piece. Okay, so that's a failure of selection in time. It's very specifically called the attention blink, is what we're going to talk about. So these failures to pay attention to things in time are an issue of selective attention. So we are focusing on some things over others because it helps us so we don't get so overloaded. So it's actually a good thing for you and a bad thing. So the attention blink is a very short period of time that information is just missed. It's as if you blinked and you didn't see it. So the term really comes from the fact that when you blink, you don't see anything, right? And this is a time when your attention just is off. So this is a, oops, sorry about that. This is a terrible depiction of what's going on. I'm going to give you a better picture in a second. And so what will happen when you're looking at this slide here is that you get information here, and you're looking for the target letter, so that one here. So you see the H, then you'll see a T, and that's your target. You're looking for that. You'll get another target, another letter, and then you'll get this target X down here. So you're supposed to say T and then X. But it's really quick, about 100 milliseconds, so that's a sixth of a second. And if you look at the right side over here, that first letter is the top bar. I don't know what just happened. All right, that first letter is this top section here. And so if I'm asking you to just do that letter 1, you get almost perfect. You know, every once in a while you really do blink, so you'll get almost perfect people responding to it. If I ask you to tell me both letters, you get this check mark pattern. Okay? And this section here, 2 through 5, is the attention blink. So you're going to miss things that happen in that window. It's about 200 milliseconds to about 600 milliseconds when things appear after that first letter. So you'll get the first one, but the second one is, you're going to miss it. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like a little better. It's called a rapid serial visual presentation task. So an RSVP, isn't that cute? And what happens is they put a bunch of stimuli at you kind of quickly, so this is the time part, and you are asked to look for specific stimuli within that and report those symbols. So it differs in every experiment. Sometimes it's letters, sometimes it's numbers, sometimes you get symbols, and you're looking for the word. So symbol, symbol, word. Okay, balloon is my first word. Symbol, symbol. Cheese is my second word. Okay. But it comes at you very, very quickly. So in some of the newer experiments, we're talking 50 milliseconds, which is a 1/12 of a second. Very, very fast. Okay. And so some studies by Shapiro, he's one of the big names in this field, is essentially that people will miss the words that presented close together. They'll miss the second one. In about 200 to 500 milliseconds, that's that first graph picture, after the first word appears. So I'm going to talk about some theories. These are not in the book, so be sure you get these down. There's 3 or 4 theories. Okay, so the first one is the TwoStage Model by Chun and Potter. And the idea is that you have 2 stages, clearly. That there's a direction of attention. Okay, I'm going to focus here. I'm looking for these particular words or this particular color. And that first stage is where lexical identification occurs. What is that? That's where I'm determining that that is the thing I'm looking for. So I'm identifying that it's part of what I'm been told to do. That second stage is a consolidation to working memory. And so what that means is that I have figured out this is the word I need, and I'm trying to keep it in memory long enough to tell you that was the word I saw at the end of the experiment. Okay, so I found it, I'm going to remember it, is essentially what's going on. A second theory by the Shapiro folks is an interference model. And so that argues that we get both words at the same time, but they're competing for attention, so they're kind of fighting. And the Chun and Potter model is saying that because I'm holding on to them in memory, the problem is more that I can't remember things that long. So there's different things going on here. And I have a picture. This will make more sense in a minute. And so what we've really ended up with is this combo model by Potter. And so the idea is that I have lexical identification, that's step 1. I have consolidation, that's step 3. And I'm adding this weird thing in the middle called conceptual short-term memory, where both decay, how long can I remember it, and interference, the fighting stuff, occurs in this model. So this combination model is the original two-stage model plus Shapiro's interference model. Okay. So a very strange visual demonstration of how this works. Okay, so what's going on? All the way on the left is the two-stage model, and the way that these work is that they start at the bottom and work their way up. So down here, we're seeing the word balloon. So this is where you would see it on the screen. Okay. And that is going to go into this first box here, first bubble, if you will. Balloon! And so what that first bubble is on all of these models is lexical identification. Is this what they told me to do? Okay. So balloon has moved up here. What happens next is that balloon is going to continue along in the two-stage model to working memory here at the top. And in the interference model, you'll see what happens, and then it's gonna move up a bubble essentially. So let's do that. So now I've got my second word, cheese, because I love the word cheese. And so here at the top, the two-stage model, this is working memory. Whoop, mouse has lost its mind. And so I'm holding on to the information here, and this one is basically the conceptual short-term memory here, which is kind of like a holding spot. So it's waiting for its turn. So cheese is going to move up. Oops, sorry, too fast. Too fast. Back up. Back up. Cheese is going to wait its turn here, and it is being processed. So I'm figuring out, hey, that's the word cheese. Here's where the models differ. This slide. So this wait function here is decay. So as the word is having to wait for the other one to finish being processed, it's going to disappear because it doesn't want to wait around. It's your friend that's like, screw you, you're always late, I'm leaving. Okay. In the interference model, what's going on is that these two words are competing for your attention. So it becomes a divided attention task. And that is why I said it's like a fight. So interference is a fight between the two. Which one's going to win? Probably a balloon because it's been there longer. In the combination model, it explains why we get the word balloon the most. But sometimes there's competition between the two, so sometimes we'll get cheese. So the combo model is really great because it explains why you almost always get the first word, but sometimes you don't, and you only get the second word. So why is that? Well, sometimes the second word wins because there's competition for them. So how does this occur? Some people argue that it's a bottleneck. Attention is a one-stream thing, and when you've got too much processing going on, it's like the neck of a Coke bottle, and you can't pour it all out at once. It's got to go through the smaller funnel. And so some mental operations have to be done one at a time. Okay? A divided attention to task really helps explain this as well, because that's what it is. You've got one piece of information here and one piece here, and you're trying to figure out which one's better. And that's called dual task interference. So when you're doing two things at the same time. Sorry, she wants out in the rain, and we're not going to let her out. So the performance failure is because you can only do one thing at a time particularly well. If you're trying to do two things at once, remember you get that decrement. All right, so what now? What's going on with all this stuff? We've spent a lot of time thinking about divided attention and the costs with dual task interference. Think about driving your car. And they tell you, don't text and drive, don't text and drive, don't do it, it's bad. Well, it's a dual task problem. I am looking at my phone, but I also should be looking at what's going on around me when I'm driving. And so the issue is that I can't do both of those visual tasks that well at the same time. So there are a lot of real reasons in your everyday life, other than just walking down the street and not running into anybody, that attention is a super important thing to understand. And And the trouble with studying dual task, as you'll see in one of the next module videos, is that when you ask people to do two things simultaneously, you can't always tell, one, are they cheating, they're only doing one of them, but you can't always tell that that's the same as if you were to do them each separately. So there's some problems with this design. And really what happened is that people started, instead of talking about dual task versus single task, people switched to automatic processing and controlled processing. Unfortunately, these have multiple names. Okay, automatic processing is usually called exogenous attention because it's outside of your control. Okay, so it's outside of you. Loud noises, bang! That's automatic attention. You're going to look for it because that is an innate sort of thing. Controlled attention is endogenous, so it's inside of you, you're controlling it, where you are trying to do the focus. So it's not just the idea of a single task or dual task or bad at the dual task. It's more about thinking about automatic actions and controlled actions and how that interacts with doing one thing at a time versus doing multiple things at a time. So there's more than just one versus more. You've got to include this idea of things are automatic, they're outside of our control, we're good at those, and things are controlled, that takes up a lot of effort from us.